When I tell you Instagram trial reels might be one of the greatest and highest potential things right now to grow your podcast, to grow your channel, I am not underestimating that. Like, that is legitimately the way to go right now. And for the creators that aren't utilizing this, I kind of feel bad for them because we really have this one leg up by knowing this tool. So within this video, I'm gonna be telling you exactly like what trial reels are if you aren't like crazy familiar with them, and then some strategies that I have tried and that I also recommend based on posting on Impulsive or posting on my personal channel or some other different accounts that I've heard that have worked in the past with trial reels, and just share all these different strategies for you and with you, so maybe you don't have to test out as much things, but at the same time, that's what trial reels is the name of the game, is testing out and experimenting with different types of content. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So starting off with what trial reels really are. A basic way of kind of looking at it is easy way for you to experiment with your Instagram content without having to risk anything, without having to risk pissing off your initial audience. And then you're able to make sure that the audience that you are pushing it out to, which is essentially a whole new audience, can discover you in a very unique way. Basically, you are posting an Instagram reel as this thing called a trial reel, and it only goes out to non-followers, people who don't follow you. And then after that, you have the option, if you want to push it live, to your followers. We'll kind of get into the right gist of everything on like when you should post it live, if you should post it live from a trial reel. But the whole gist of trial reels is basically just understanding that it goes out to your non-followers first, and then you have the option to push it to your main followers after. One of my favorite and what I've seen most effective ways to use trial reels is actually replacing the physical hook. Let's just say you have a 30-second clip. What I'm saying is physically change the first 3 seconds of that clip, the hook of that clip, to totally something else. It could be something that was more towards the end of that 30-second clip, and then maybe you throw that towards the start, or it could just be implementing something that wasn't even inside of the clip in the first place. And the reason that this works so well, or can work so well, is it still has the same general gist of the story, but it's utilizing it in a different way. Let's just say, for example, we have on Tana Mojo on the podcast of Impulsive. The audience that we have built for the last 7 years with Impulsive Podcast has been noticing Logan. They've noticed Logan as the main guy. He is the guy that they want to see every time they come to a clip. But let's just say we started off the clip with Tana, and then it gets into Logan. We might want to test out a clip where we start off with Logan's reaction at the very, very start, and then get into Tana. So making the first part of the first clip only Tana for the first 3 seconds, but then the second clip, we have the hook being Logan at the start with maybe a shocked face, and then it gets into Tana. It's just like that one subtle thing, a slightly different hook, and that's just an example of using a reaction, but you can use a totally different words and different moments of your podcast to actually work it as well. The best way of thinking about it is using the same clip, but different openings. The next strategy is using the same exact clip. I'm talking the same exact clip, but you put a different text box at the start to hook your viewer. For example, when I'm posting something, and obviously I personally am trying to target the podcast audience. So I might want to test out something that says, most podcasters get this wrong, as the version A of the hook. And then I might want to test out version B of a different text box hook, as if you edit clips, you need to hear this. Both of those are obviously within the same podcast niche, but it's going to go possibly more viral by you just implementing with one trial reel on one hook and then one trial reel on another hook. And this is utilizing obviously words to do a little bit better at stopping people on their scroll. Now this third strategy, it can take components of the first two ones that I've already described, but it's basically leaving something as a trial reel throughout its whole duration. And part of the reason that I actually really like this strategy at this current moment is because it allows you to only make content and only post content to your main feed that your audience actually truly likes. That's why keeping something as a totally separate trial reel is going to be very beneficial for you, because your original audience, the audience you've already built, let's just say you have 20,000 followers, that 20,000 follower audience is already used to one type of style of content. And let's just say the other trial reel did perform. Perfect. That's what we want at the end of the day. But you might have gotten 10 or 15 followers from that trial reel, which is great, but also that's not a bulk of your audience, of your 20,000 person audience. So if that content style is totally different than what you normally post in your normal content, then you might not want to push that as a full-on reel. But if it's something that still aligns very well with your brand and, you know, a similar-ish type of style of content, and you think it can actually bold really well with those 20,000 followers, then by all means go for it. But what I've seen is sometimes within that trial reel's algorithm, it might stay more viral by you keeping it as a trial reel and not pushing it live. This might take a little bit of experimenting on your side to realize what might work best as you just keeping it as a trial reel versus pushing it live. But what I've been able to see is sometimes those trial reels end up performing a lot better when you keep them as trial reels versus when you push them live. Sometimes there's this like weird thing where when you push it live, it doesn't automatically push it to all of your followers and how it would normally push out an Instagram reel. It's a little bit laggy. Like sometimes it takes a few hours to really get into the algorithm. Sometimes you have to repost it. Sometimes you have to post it to your story. And so to bypass all of that stuff, it might just be a lot easier just to post it only as a trial reel. And sometimes the reason that something might work good in trial reels might not be the reason that your intended audience liked your original stuff in the first place. You might be posting a trial reel that is 60 or 90 seconds that's hitting really well, but your original audience is only used to you posting 20-second clips. So you just need to be really smart about how you're implementing these things and see if it's actually lining up with your current audience. If your trial reel is able to line up with your current audience, then maybe push it out to your current audience. Push it live as a actual reel post. But if it's not, keep it as a trial reel. And then one of the last strategies that is very underrated when it comes to trial reels is the CTA. The CTA is so important. So when you're making a normal podcast clip for your original audience, you might be putting at the end of it a ManyChat CTA, which basically takes them to the full episode. And those people, since they're already fans of the episode, they're gonna be a lot more incentivized and actually want to, because they know you, to comment and actually get sent a DM to take them to the full episode. But for somebody who doesn't follow you, they're not gonna be as incentivized to want to do something like that. And so you need to take baby steps with them. So what's the best way you can make baby steps with that person for a podcast clip or for any type of content that you're putting out there? It's telling them at the very end of the clip, follow for more content like this, follow for more podcast tips, follow for more whatever. Doing anything to kind of keep that CTA as easy and simple as possible for that new viewer. Gotta remind you, this person doesn't follow you just yet. It's only pushing out content to people who don't follow you. Make sure to keep that in mind when you are crafting your trial reel. And a great way of looking at it is if you don't ask, they won't take action. So if you don't ask to follow, then they won't take action. If you don't tell them to subscribe, then they won't take action, or very few of them will take action. You want to not be maybe crazy pushy about it, but at the same time, still want to ask. You still want to make sure that you can try and get more followers and more subscribers at the end of the day. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, Caleb, at what point do I actually push this to my feed? If it is performing really well, do I push it to my feed? If it's not performing very well, do I push it to my feed? Like at what point, Caleb, do I push it to my feed? Great question. And it's a question I guess I just asked myself. But to answer your question, I would think about it as plateau, then push. Or right before it's about a plateau, or right as you see it almost plateauing on your trial reel, push it, okay? The reason I believe this works is it shows not only that it still has potential to kind of be on the up and up, but when you're in the trial reel's algorithm, there's a point where your views go from this to literally that. Like we're talking flat across, doesn't do anything more. And so at that point, right before that point, it might be a very, very good strategy for you to try to push then to your main feed. But if it's cooking in trial reels, just leave it as a trial reel for now. Now at this point, we've kind of gotten through a lot of the strategy when it comes to how to actually post and when to push, all that stuff. But we don't know how often that we should actually be posting these trial reels. The good thing is, it won't penalize you for posting a ton. It'll only penalize you for posting the exact same content that you've already posted in the past. So you just have to make sure that your content is different than something you've already posted in the past. Some people are re-uploading old files. That tends to work fine after a certain amount of time has passed. But if you're posting the exact same piece of content with 1 or 2 days in between, Instagram doesn't like that stuff. And they're gonna tell you it's not gonna reach as many people by you doing something like that. And what I do personally and what we do for Impulsive is posting on our main feed once, and then we post on our trial feed another time, totaling up to 2. Keeping it simple as that and I like to keep everything as trial reel, and everything as main feed, and really don't push any of those trial reels to main feed. That's just me personally, and what I have maybe seen work best for me personally and for Impulsive. But once again, feel free to experiment. You're going to hear me say a lot of these experimentation things when it comes to creating content and posting content, because what works for me might not work for you, or what works for you might blow up, okay? You might go fucking crazy, but then we try it for Impulsive, or I try it for my personal account, and it doesn't go as viral. So you need to continue to experiment, especially when it comes to trial reels, especially when this is one of those platforms and one of those tools within a platform that is so new. Not too many people know exactly how to utilize it, and that first mover's advantage is still extremely important. And one of the last caveats that I would like to tell you about is making sure that you're not testing too many variables at one time. I've already talked a lot about this when it comes to ABC, YouTube, thumbnail, and title testing, making sure that you're testing 3 titles with like 1 thumbnail or 1 title with 3 different thumbnails, and not changing too many things at one time, because you want to make sure that you understand what's exactly working. And I think that same thought process applies to your trial reel strategy. If you're changing up too many things at one time, let's just say you have a trial reel that has a different hook, a different text box at the start, just a whole different story, basically, then you don't know exactly what was that one thing that your audience really liked and really jived with, and that was the reason that ended up going viral. Because you want to make sure that you're making content that your audience is continuously liking. So if you don't know exactly what worked well, then it's not going to help you in the future. You're not going to be able to continue to make content about that. So do your best to kind of taste and only test one variable at a time. You might test the length of the text, the edit style, the different pacing, but try and just do one different variable at one time. So to recap, some of the different strategies that I would recommend when it comes to something like this is testing 2 different hooks, but basically the same clip. So making sure that the first 3 seconds is different for those clips. Next is going to be using the strategy of testing different text box words. Third is not pushing your trial reel until you notice that it's starting to like plateau. Next thing is going to be testing out different lengths, and then also understanding that the cadence of how often you're posting a trial reel is somewhat important when you're trying to gain followers. And then the final 2 things is going to be making sure that you're posting a CTA of people to follow you at the end of your trial reels, because at the end of the day, they don't follow you. And then finally, it's going to be to make sure that you're only testing 1 variable at a time, so you actually know what's working well. And the beautiful part about all of this, and this is probably one of my favorite sections that I've made, because it has garnered tons of growth for me personally and for Impulsive and for a lot of the different podcasts that I've been able to see. So by you implementing this, you're already going to be ahead of so many other people that maybe don't even have this on their Instagram just yet. Or if they do, they're not implementing it and they're too scared to post. This takes off any of the stress, any of the risk, and you're able to see what could work well with your audience. You're able to experiment. You're able to think outside the box. You're able to actually do fun things with your content and experiment. And I think that's what Instagram has been lacking a little bit, that TikTok has been able to do. And I think it's really good that they're doing something like this. But enough about the platform. This is a huge opportunity for you, and I really do look forward to seeing all of your wins with this. I mean, there's already been so many people that have said in the community posting wins and their trial reels and all that stuff. So that being said, yeah, I'd love to hear some more about your wins and how you are able to kind of utilize something like this, and I'll see you in the next video.